You emptied my accounts, disappeared for 11 years, and now you're asking me for money. My ex-husband was standing in the lobby of my lawyer's office, soaked from the rain, clutching a folder with shaking hands like I was his last option on earth. At 24, Ethan Bennett drained every dollar I had, maxed out credit cards in my name, and vanished overnight while I slept. I lost my apartment 3 days later. I spent that winter sleeping in my car while he told people I was unstable and reckless with money. Now he stood in front of me whispering, "Claire, I made mistakes, but someone's trying to destroy me." Then my lawyer walked out holding a thick divorce file and said, "Actually, Mr. Bennett, before she helps you, there's something you need to explain." Ethan saw the document in his hand and went completely pale. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for updates. For a second, nobody moved. Rain hammered against the glass entrance behind him while people in the lobby pretended not to stare. Ethan looked thinner than I remembered. Older. The expensive confidence he used to wear like a second skin was gone. His wedding ring was missing. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. But none of that made me feel sorry for him. Because the last time I saw Ethan Bennett, I was 24 years old, standing in the middle of our apartment with an eviction notice in my hand while creditors blew up my phone. And he knew exactly what he was doing when he left. "Claire," he said carefully, lowering his voice, "can we not do this here?" I almost laughed at that. Here. This was a marble-floored law office downtown. Warm lighting, security desk, fresh coffee in the waiting area. 11 years ago, I would have killed for a place this stable. Back then, I was sleeping upright in the front seat of my Honda behind a grocery store because my husband had emptied our joint accounts down to 43 cents. And somehow he wanted privacy. My lawyer, Daniel Reeves, stepped closer and tapped the divorce file against his palm. "Mr. Bennett," he said, calm and cold, "you disappeared before these papers could ever be finalized, which makes today very interesting." Ethan's jaw tightened immediately. That reaction hit me harder than I expected. Not anger, not confusion. Fear. Real fear. I folded my arms. "You said someone trying to destroy you, who?" His eyes flicked toward the folder in Daniel's hand again before he answered. "It's complicated." "That's funny," I said. "So was explaining to my landlord why my husband vanished with my dead mother's insurance money." He flinched at that. The mention of my mother changed something in his face, so quickly I almost missed it. Daniel noticed too. Without another word, my lawyer opened the file and pulled out a yellowed document clipped beneath several financial records. I had never seen that paper before in my life. Daniel stared at it for 2 long seconds. Then he looked directly at Ethan and said quietly, "Why is another woman's signature attached to your wife's accounts?" Ethan took a sudden step backward toward the exit. And that was the exact moment I realized he hadn't come here for help. He came here because he thought I still didn't know what he'd done. Ethan's eyes locked on the office door behind him, like he was calculating how fast he could get out before security noticed. But Daniel moved first. "Sit down," my lawyer said firmly. The receptionist looked up from her desk, tension spreading across her face, while 2 people waiting near the elevators suddenly became very interested in their phones. Ethan hesitated for half a second before slowly lowering himself into the leather chair across from me. I couldn't stop staring at him. 11 years ago, this man controlled everything in my life. Every paycheck I deposited went through him first. Every bill, every account. Back then, I thought that was normal for a marriage. Ethan always had an answer ready whenever I asked questions. "I'm better with finances. You work too hard already. Trust me." That last one used to work every time. Now I realized how carefully he'd trained me not to look too closely. Daniel opened the file across the small conference table in the lobby. Inside were copies of bank statements, business registrations, and court notices with faded timestamps from more than a decade ago. "You recognize this name?" Daniel asked. He slid one document toward me. "Vanessa Cole." The name appeared beside Ethan's on corporate paperwork, filed 3 months before he disappeared. 3 months. My stomach tightened. You had a business with her, I asked. Ethan rubbed both hands over his face. Claire, it wasn't like that. Then explain it. He looked at me for a long moment before answering. She was helping me solve a problem. I leaned forward by stealing my money. That money was already tied up. Daniel immediately looked up. Tied up where? The second those words left his mouth, Ethan realized he'd said too much. I saw it happen in real time. His entire body stiffened. And for the first time in 11 years, my ex-husband looked genuinely trapped. Then Daniel pulled another document from the file and quietly said, Claire, I think your signature was forged. My heart dropped into my stomach. Daniel rotated the document toward me, placing his finger beneath a signature line at the bottom of a loan agreement. At first glance, it looked real. My name was there, my old address, my social security number. But the signature wasn't mine. Not completely. It was close enough to pass in a quick review, but the longer I stared at it, the more obvious it became. The slant was wrong. The spacing was stiff. Ethan had copied my handwriting the way someone copies a painting, carefully but without instinct. I looked up slowly. You forged my name. Ethan immediately shook his head. Listen to me before you jump to conclusions. Conclusions, I snapped. I was homeless. The entire lobby went silent again. A man near the elevators glanced over before quickly looking away. The receptionist stopped typing altogether. Daniel flipped to another page. Then another. Every single one carried my forged signature. Business loans, property transfers, corporate filings, dates spanning almost 2 years after Ethan disappeared. My throat tightened as pieces of my life suddenly started rearranging themselves in my head. The denied apartment applications. The collection notices I never understood. The loans I supposedly defaulted on. I thought Ethan had robbed me once and vanished. But he'd kept using my identity long after I was gone. Claire, Ethan said carefully, leaning forward, Vanessa handled most of the paperwork. She told me nobody would get hurt. I actually laughed at that. A short, stunned laugh that even surprised me. Nobody got hurt, I said. I lived in my car while you were opening companies in my name. Ethan's face darkened. You think I came out ahead? Vanessa took everything from me too. Daniel suddenly paused on one specific page. His expression changed instantly. What? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he pulled the document free from the stack and looked directly at Ethan. You never finalized the divorce, Daniel said slowly, because legally separating from Claire would have triggered financial discovery. Ethan went completely still. And that's when I realized the marriage wasn't left unresolved by accident. It was protecting him. Then Daniel turned the final page and quietly said, Oh my God. What? I demanded, pushing forward in my chair. What is it? Daniel didn't answer immediately. He kept staring at the page like he was trying to make sure he'd read it correctly the first time. Ethan, meanwhile, had gone completely rigid. His breathing turned shallow. His eyes never left the document in Daniel's hands. That reaction scared me more than anything so far. Daniel finally looked up. This isn't just identity theft, he said carefully. Claire, these companies were moving investor money through accounts connected to you. My chest tightened. What does that mean? It means, Daniel said, your name became the legal shield. I turned toward Ethan slowly. He looked exhausted now, cornered, like every lie he'd spent 11 years protecting was collapsing faster than he could stop it. You used me, I said quietly. It wasn't supposed to become this, he muttered. Daniel ignored him and spread several documents across the table. Property records, LLC registrations, tax filings, every page connected back to me somehow. My names, my information, my forged signature. I suddenly remembered something I hadn't thought about in years. The missing file cabinet in our apartment. The one Ethan claimed had been accidentally removed during a maintenance inspection a week before he disappeared. There had been financial papers inside. My mother's insurance documents too. He hadn't panicked and run. He'd prepared this. You planned it, I whispered. Ethan closed his eyes. That silence was enough. Daniel reached deeper into the divorce file and pulled out a sealed envelope with a faded legal stamp across the front. This was never opened, he said. He slid out a typed affidavit, signed by a former accountant from one of Ethan's companies. The room felt suddenly smaller as Daniel scanned the first paragraph. Then he handed the paper directly to me. My hands shook while I read the line near the center of the page. Ethan Bennett intentionally abandoned his wife in financial ruin to redirect scrutiny away from missing investor funds. I stopped breathing for a second. Below that was another sentence. One that made my blood run cold. She was selected as the scapegoat before the accounts were emptied. I looked up at Ethan. And instead of denying it, he broke. Ethan covered his face with both hands and leaned forward like his body physically couldn't hold the weight anymore. I didn't think it would go this far, he said hoarsely. I stared at him in disbelief. Not because he'd admitted it. Because of how calm he suddenly sounded. Like ruining my life had been a business decision that simply spiraled out of control. Daniel took the affidavit from my hands and continued reading silently while Ethan spoke. Vanessa and I started flipping small properties first, he admitted. Then investors got involved, bigger money, faster deadlines. We were losing cash and people started asking questions. So you stole from me, I said flatly. His eyes lifted toward mine. We needed clean accounts, someone nobody would suspect. The words hit harder than I expected. Not because they were shocking anymore. Because they confirmed something I'd secretly wondered for years during the nights. I slept in my car wondering how my entire life collapsed so fast. It wasn't recklessness. It wasn't bad luck. It was deliberate. Ethan swallowed hard. Once the money started disappearing, Vanessa said we needed distance between the fraud and the company. If you looked unstable financially, investigators wouldn't dig deeper. I felt sick. He had destroyed my reputation on purpose. The missed payments, the maxed-out cards, the rumors he spread to friends. Even abandoning me without warning, it had all been staged to make me look irresponsible before anyone could trace the missing investment money back to him. Daniel suddenly closed the file. Claire, he said quietly, did you already send the copies? Ethan's head snapped toward me instantly. That fear returned to his face, so fast it almost looked painful. I held his stare. Then nodded once. Yesterday morning. For the first time since he walked into that lobby, Ethan completely lost composure. You reported this, he whispered. I gave everything to financial crimes investigators. No, Claire, listen to me. You let me think my life falling apart was my fault for 11 years. He stood up suddenly, panic taking over. If this goes public, I'm finished. Before I could answer, the front doors opened behind him. 2 investigators stepped into the lobby beside building security. Daniel exhaled slowly under his breath. One of the investigators approached the table directly, Ethan Bennett. Ethan looked around like he was searching for an escape route that didn't exist anymore. The investigator placed a folder on the table beside the divorce file. We need to discuss multiple fraud allegations tied to corporate transfers and forged financial documents. The entire color drained from Ethan's face. And for the first time in over a decade, I watched him experience the same helplessness he forced onto me. Only this time there was nowhere for him to disappear. 3 weeks later, Daniel called me with the final update. The fraud investigation officially cleared several debts attached to my name. Credit agencies began removing accounts connected to the forged loans. Civil attorneys reopened claims against Ethan and his former companies. Investors were now searching for Vanessa internationally after evidence showed she fled with millions before the businesses collapsed. But the moment that mattered most to me happened quietly. No courtroom, no dramatic speech. I was standing inside one of my company's renovated apartment buildings, a housing project for women recovering from financial abuse, when I received the email. Legal liability removed. Name cleared. I sat down in the empty unit and stared at the screen for a long time. At 24, I lost everything because the person I trusted most decided I was disposable. At 35, I finally understood the truth. The man who left me homeless came back expecting money and walked away in handcuffs instead. Conclusion complete.